Welcome to Solutions with Courtney Anderson. I am your hostess, Courtney Anderson. Today's topic for our episode is help situation. Should I stay or should I go? This is a fascinating topic. Here we are again in our help situation series, where we're looking at pragmatic, on-the-ground tools, techniques, and tips that we can immediately use to step into our lives and address challenges, obstacles, and problems. And of course, our focus in this help situation is, should I stay or should I go? Let's imagine. Imagine Ken. Ken is 25 years old. Ken lives at his parents' home. Ken does not have any physical or mental or developmental challenges or disabilities. Ken is absolutely healthy, 25 years old, and able to work and support himself. But Ken spends a lot of his time sharing his anger, frustration, and pain at the things that he says are happening to him. For example, Ken says, you know what, it's absolutely unfair. The way that they make decisions, they don't consult me, they don't ask, they don't even really care what I think. They just go and do whatever they want, whenever they feel like it. And you know what? I don't even feel respected. I don't even feel like I matter to them. And there's just day in and day out when they just continue to act like, you know, they can do whatever they feel like. There have been times when I've been so hurt. And there have been times when I have felt like I'm frightened. I don't know what they're going to do. Are they going to go ahead and agree to keep the temperature the way that I like it? Or are they going to just change it because they feel like it? I mean, you know, I don't know what's going to happen one day to the next, and I'm really, really sick of the way that they treat me. They don't respect me, and I have to deal with them. All right. So we're visiting Ken. Ken is a 25-year-old adult who has the ability, in terms of his health and abilities, to work and earn a living. But Ken chooses to live with his parents. Perhaps Ken chooses to live with his parents because it's financially a better deal for him. He doesn't have to pay rent. He doesn't have to pay utility bills like electric or gas or water or trash. He doesn't have to pay for things like internet service or television or phone service. All he has to do is just be himself. And he has a place to stay, and he has water, and he has toilets, and he has trash service, and it's something that Ken feels is right for Ken. The challenge is that Ken is angry. Ken is frustrated. Ken is growing bitter day after day because Ken can articulate 50 reasons why his parents are disrespecting him and treating him badly, with them just going around and making all types of decisions that they want. They want the house to be this temperature. They want to be able to watch this type of movie. They don't think the dishwasher should be used this many times. I mean, they just have all these rules, and, they don't even consult Ken. They don't even ask Ken, what do you think, or how do you feel, or what would make you happy, Ken? What do you want? They don't even do that. So, we've got Ken, 25 years old, physically, mentally, developmentally able to work and support himself, but he chooses to live with his parents, which is absolutely 150% Ken's choice. Yet Ken is angry. Ken is expressing how horrible it is. How the people who run that house as parents, they just act like it's Like it's their own private kingdom, and they can just set the temperature wherever they want it, and they could decide what kind of toilet paper is going to be used, and they could make decisions about how many cable television channels are going to be paid for each month, and it's just too much. That's Ken. That was our first imaginary scenario. Let's just do one more. Let's look at Marla. Marla's 31. Marla's 31 years old, and Marla is, again, a healthy person. She's physically, mentally, developmentally able to support herself and take care of herself, to earn an income from work or a business and get her own place to live. But Marla doesn't do that. Now, Marla doesn't live with her parents. No, of course not. Marla lives with Jose. Marla lives with Jose, and Jose is someone that early on she thought was one of the greatest people probably in the universe. She just loved Jose. She'd talk about Jose, and oh my goodness, Jose could do no wrong. The way that Jose made her feel, the way that Jose treated her, it was like a dream. It was like a movie come true. She was a happy, happy person. But time has passed. And if you talk to Marla now, all you would hear were expressions like this. I can't stand him. He is just so selfish. All he thinks about is himself. He just wants to do things his way. Just his way or the highway. He'll say my way or no way. And he means it. He really does mean that. Like he just gets to decide everything that happens because it's his house. Because he's the one that pays for it. Because he's the one that got that house. I mean, really? Really, Jose? That's how you treat me? You don't ask me for my opinion? Even if I tell you what I think, you don't care? You don't care. I told you not to get that truck. You went out and bought that truck anyway. Because, Jose, you don't care about me. You make your decisions based on what you want. I'm almost meaningless. So here we have Marla. Marla, 31 years old. Marla's chosen to live with Jose. Jose is not a relative, not a blood relative. Jose is someone that she's chosen to fall in love with and to live with. She made a choice to move into Jose's living arrangement with him at his place that he already had. And she expresses, similar to Ken, how angry and hurt and bitter she is because look how these people treat her. They just make all these decisions. They don't really ask her. They don't even really care. Sometimes they'll just go and they'll change the channels on HBO or they'll decide that we're not going to use this dishwasher detergent anymore, and they don't even apologize, you know? It's that level of selfishness. And Ken and Marla, they can express to you for hours or even days all the horrible, horrible, horrible things that these people do to them, these parents and other people that they live with, making all these rules. So our question today was help situation. Should I stay or should I go? With Ken, what do you think? Ken is an adult. He's healthy. He's able to work, but he chooses not to. He lives with his parents, and his parents make all of these decisions, all of these choices. They barely even ask Ken. They seem not to even really care. If they want to paint the wall green, they paint the wall green, even if Ken says, I want it to be purple. And look at poor Marla. Marla's 31 years old. She's moved in with Jose. And Jose also, the same type of thing. He just disrespects her. You know, if she says, I think it's a little bit too cold in here, I'd like to go ahead and raise the temperature. And he says, no, I'm not paying for one more degree on that thermostat. You better leave the temperature where it is because I'm not paying any more money. Don't you touch it. Ken and Marla have a similar situation. Their argument is they're extremely unhappy with the situation and a environment where they don't have total control and authority. And in fact, they're in a subordinate position because they're either living with their parents or with another adult who already had created the living situation, the type of environment, had made decisions about what paint color was going to be used and what the temperature would be and what kind of dishwashing machine would be in there, what kind of television would be paid for. And Ken and Marla's argument is, look, nobody even seems to ask me. They don't even really care. They just, do what they want. Like it's their world. question is, and the purpose for these imaginary case studies is, what's the difference between Ken and Marla and someone who was in a work situation that said to you, you know what, it's almost like I don't even matter. Ideally, they should care. They should care about my feelings and about what I want, in the workplace. And instead, they just go and they make these decisions. They said they were going to, change everything in the workroom. They just changed all the furniture. And even though it's really uncomfortable and I don't even like it, they didn't ask me. And then they went and they changed some of the schedules. Nobody came to me to ask me if it was convenient for me or if it, was something that I wanted. They just announced. They just had the nerve to announce, here's the new work schedule. So the question is, should I stay or should I go? What's the difference between Ken, living with his parents, adult, Marla, living off of another adult, and our third person who's just talking about their job? They don't live at their job. They take care of themselves. They pay their own bills, right? But their arguments are somewhat similar to Ken and Marla. Their arguments are that, look, these people at this place, they don't care about my opinion. They don't consult me. And even if they ask me what I would like or what I think or what I feel, they ignore it. They just go ahead anyway and, pick out new furniture and decide about new schedules and change the temperature. And, they just make all these decisions. What really is the difference in each of those scenarios? What would be your feedback to Ken if he asked you, should I stay or should I go? Who do my parents think they are? Really? Just everything gets to be their way? What would really be your honest feedback? Would you say to Ken, you know what, Ken? You're asking me, should you stay or should you go? But they're your parents, and even if they weren't your parents, they're adults, and they've let you live in their home. And it was already their home. Like, they set that up, right? Like, they built that household. They decided, this is the address, and this is the type of place we're going to live in, and this is the paint color it's going to be, and this is the toilet paper we're going to use, and this is the type of microwave we're going to have, and this is what we're doing. And you're there, but it is their operation. They created that household, and a lot of adults would say, it's my house, it's my rules. If you don't like it, leave. What about Marla? Marla's an adult. She's healthy. She could support herself. She's made a decision that she wants to let someone else take the lead and provide shelter and make decisions. She also, like Ken, is just unhappy and feels like, her opinion's not really respected. Now, I would argue that the respectful thing for both Ken's parents and for Marla's love, Jose, would be for them to go to Ken, to Marla, and honestly ask them for their input. What would you like? And tell me why. And see if there are ways that they could find compromise. Maybe they could change the temperature as long as Ken was willing to work extra and pay for the cost differential if there was a higher bill. Maybe Jose would be willing to make a compromise and make a different decision about what kind of truck to get. If Marla would also be willing to either contribute financially to the household or to make other types of contributions, maybe to the running of the home, laundry, tidiness, things of this nature. Ideally, Ken's parents and Marla's love, Jose, absolutely could, and I would argue should, for the most harmonious outcome, absolutely ask people that they've entered into a relationship with voluntarily, right? The voluntary is where they ask Ken, they let Ken, the adult child, come live there. That's voluntary. And the same for Jose. He didn't have to let Marla come there. It was a voluntary situation. They both made agreements. And again, it would be ideal if there could be an outcome where Ken and Marla had their opinions requested, had their input heavily weighed, we're treated as equals, and that the decisions that were going to be made to change something would be made together collaboratively. That absolutely is something that I wouldn't disagree with. But our argument is, and this question is, in our health situation, should I stay or should I go? What do you do if that sort of ideal, collaborative, respect-based, deliberative process isn't being engaged in? In other words, what leverage does Ken have on his adult parents to force them to listen to him about what will be done at the home? I mean, the adult parents can, and often do, in these types of real-life situations, fall back on the argument, look, it's my house, right? I pay for it. If you don't like it, leave. And maybe that's a little curt, right? Some people would say, oh, the way that the words are expressed, it's so harsh, it's so mean. Okay. There are more euphemistic ways to say the same thing, right? But the underlying argument that someone would have that, hey, this is something that we have as an organization or structure, right, a household, and we have set it up, and we have positions of authority where we're going to make decisions. And if you want to be part of this, then you're welcome to do so. We're happy to have you here. But you don't have any mandatory leverage that you could utilize to force us to do this. You can't make us listen to you in terms of what you would like or what would make you happy. You can ask us, and we can think about it, or we can ignore it, but there's no way you can make us do this. And it's somewhat similar with the situation with Marla and Jose. Jose's an adult, and so's Marla. And if Jose already had his place, again, an organization that he had, and he was already making decisions, and he was in charge of the financial investments and the outlays, and he said to Marla, look, this is the deal. This is what makes me happy. This is how I'm going to run things. And if you don't like it, leave. Assuming those were the situations where Ken and Marla were both basically told, hey, look, this is how we do it here, right? It's our house, it's our rules. And this is how we do it, and if you accept this and you're willing to go along with us, then cool, everything's fine. But if you don't like it, then you can't force us to change. And we don't want to change. It's our place. And my question was, how's that different from somebody at work? How's that different from somebody who is an employee of an organization, and they are really, really, really angry and fired up about all the horrible things that the organization does to them, and all the things that the organization does without asking them for their opinion, and without checking with them, and without even making an effort in their mind to appease them. I've had the pleasure, the privilege, and the honor, in my opinion, of being able to work with so many different types of organizations around the world. And these are the types of organizations I go to, and I try to help them improve some aspect of their business, right? So it could be management, it could be hiring and firing, it could be retention, it could be employee engagement. We want to increase employee retention. It could be anything, right? It could be something as specific as how do we improve the process for leave, for our voluntary benefit for our team members, or how do we go ahead and implement a mandatory benefit like FMLA, right, Family Medical Leave Act. So it could be a variety of things in the work sphere, which is my area of fun. And if it's especially in the work sphere where there's some sort of interaction with either ethics, business objectives, or law, then that's definitely my sweet spot. That's where I love it. And I honestly couldn't tell you. I mean, I in my busiest years, I was on the road traveling, 300 days a year of my busiest years. And so many of those time frames, I used to take contracts where I would go to 5 cities in 5 days. So Sunday night, I'd fly out from where I lived, right, and I'd go to my first city. And I'd spend the night in my first city. Let's say I'm in Chicago, and I spend the night there, and I wake up on Monday, I work all day, in Chicago at a client organization. So I go to a company there, and I'm working with them, and I'm doing training, and I'm listening, and I'm doing everything I can to deliver solutions for their organization. And I often would speak when I'm doing corporate training for up to 6 hours a day. Then I would leave that organization and go straight to the airport and fly to my next city. And, let's say my next city was Detroit. And then I'd spend the night there, and then the next day I'd work in Detroit, and I'd speak for 6 hours at that organization. Then I'd go right to the airport, and I'd go to my third city. And these contracts would be 5 cities in 5 days, right? And on each day I'd go to a different city, and I would usually, if they were all corporate training situations, I would speak for 6 hours a day. After traveling, flying, I would fly every single day, right, to the next city, go to a hotel, spend the night, get up, find my way to the location for the event, speak all day for 6 hours, get back in a taxi cab or rental car, go back to a hotel, go back to the airport, fly to another city. And then at the end of Friday, after I finished flying and speaking on Friday, I would get on a plane and I'd come back to my home base. And then I'd be home Friday night and Saturday night, and then I'd go back again on Sunday and go out and do 5 cities in 5 days. That's a tough traveling schedule. And it also is a very tough speaking schedule because you're speaking a lot. Just imagine you talking literally for up to 6 hours a day and doing it 5 days in a row while traveling every night. And I got to learn a lot about speaking as a business, which we're going to do some programs on because I get a ton of questions from people who aspire to be professional speakers. They don't know where to start. They don't know what to do. But the bigger thing that I did is I got the hands-on field experience of going to a diverse group of geographic areas and different types of organizations. I work with little, tiny, small companies that might have, 15 people, and I'd work with huge global organizations that might have literally millions of employees around the world, and everything in between. And I'd work in every different type of sector, from manufacturing to fashion to pharmaceuticals to construction. You name it, I've done it, and banking, and just everything. And I loved it because I had a hunger and a quest and a desire to learn more. But the point of this show and this episode is, should I stay or should I go? And I think sometimes when you put the framework within, it's an adult, they have the capability to take care of themselves, they're complaining incessantly about their, adult parents, their adult parents don't do things the way they want, many of us would think, okay, if that's what they have chosen and they really don't want to, bend to meet your needs, and you're an adult, just leave. Go get your own place. If you get your own place, if it's your own apartment, then you can, fix it up the way you want to. Then you can play whatever music you want to. You can pick whatever toilet paper you want to. There doesn't need to be this sort of acrimonious situation, right? And even if it's someone who, in our scenario with the 31-year-old Marla and her love, Jose, yes, ideally, if it was a long-lasting and healthy relationship, does it have to be based on mutual respect? I would argue yes. So, the moment, if I was Marla, and I was with my love, Jose, and Jose started telling me that, I've been, take it or leave it, then I would immediately feel that even though I love Jose, I love him deeply, this is probably not going to be a long-term, healthy family situation for me to build a family with Jose because he does not view me as an equal, and he's not willing to invest in thinking about my feelings, considering what my preferences would be, and compromising, right? He's just making decisions. But does he have the right to do that? He's an adult. It's his place, meaning he'd already had that home set up before he decided to have me come share it with him. Does he have the right to do it? Does he have the legal right to do it? Well, the answer is yes. Of course he does. Right? The bigger leap, and I'm interested to see what some of the feedback is of this proposal. If it's an adult and they don't have any sort of extraordinary situation that renders them unable to make modifications or to go somewhere else, right? Then what would be the difference whether it's their parent or it's a company or some agency? If you're working there and they don't respect you the way that you feel that you should be respected, and they're not, in your mind, or even sort of objectively treating you the way that you feel you should be treated, what can you do to change it? That's the first question. I go to so many organizations, and I'm always excited, right? I'm tired often. when I used to take these really heavy schedules, I would often just be, just the wear and tear of that kind of work schedule gets to you. But I was just psyched and excited because I'm learning so much, right? Like I'm out in the field and I'm learning all these different types of organizations and all these different types of management styles, and I'm trying to figure out solutions that I can fine-tune to this situation, and I'm also being able to create sort of a library of resources that I can pull out in the future because I'll know, this reminds me of the same type of situation I saw, in Omaha, and this is, how we addressed it there. And my argument would be it's not that much different with a job. I go to these places and I walk in and do training, and I'm, in a good mood, and, the people are rolling their eyes, and they start complaining and telling me how horrible, the place is, and they're like, this factory sucks, it's horrible, and I'm sitting there and I'm listening, and I think a couple of things. One, a lot of the things people tell me when they describe why they think something, is awful, it does sound like if what they're saying is factual, that it's accurate, right? That they weren't being consulted with, that there wasn't some sort of collaborative process. And I absolutely agree with them. It sounds like that's not the ideal. Just like I would argue if somebody, is with someone that they're in love with and going to try to build a family together, and the other person ignores their needs and wishes, that's probably not going to be the best outcome long term. I would also even argue adult parents, if they're going to, agree to have another adult live with them, that they should be willing to listen to that other adult and respect them. I think that is the ideal. My work always, though, and everything I do, I talk about pragmatism over and over again, because the world is. I literally mean that. It is what it is. So if the situation is that they're not doing this, right, they're not respecting you, they're not collaborating with you, they're basically saying, look, this is how we built this house or how we built this business, and this is what we want to do, what on earth does the complaining do? I really mean that. I think initially the complaining can be an excellent catalyst for someone to sit and ask themselves, should I stay or should I go? And if they decide that they really aren't happy and that they do want to go, I think that complaining, again, can help them kind of come up with an inventory of things that they would like to have different at a future work situation, and that will allow them to have the fire and the passion to get moving on, identifying other work opportunities and putting together their materials, whether resume or cover letter or whatever, and getting that out and, getting the process started to be able to find a different place to be. Because I do concur that we all should feel respected. We all should feel that we are part of something where our existence is taken into account in a way that we feel validates who we are as people and our ideas. And I believe that if we're in a situation where we're not experiencing that the question is, should I stay or should I go? In general, my answer is going to be, well, it sounds like you need to get moving toward a plan to go. Why would you stay? Why would you stay and just complain and complain and complain? For what purpose? What do you get out of that? But people do that. People spend their entire lives doing it. And if that makes them happy, then I totally support it. But for many people, they're complaining and they really aren't happy. They really are elevated stress, anxiety levels, bitterness, anger, and it's not a healthy situation. And my argument is you don't have to stay. Use your tools to exercise your independence and move forward. So this is an interesting topic. We're going to do some other programs that look at different aspects of this more in detail, because I know a lot of the response is going to be, it's easy for you to say, to leave, should you stay or should you go? It's easy to say. It isn't easy to say. That's the whole point. It's not easy. I said you should have a catalyst and you have to have a plan, and we're going to put a lot of material and content out there to try to help people put those plans together. It's not easy, but it is certainly possible, and you always have alternatives if you really are miserable and you feel trapped. And that's what I'm doing. It's all about getting, again, to practicing that joyful art of your business, right? And finding some joy in your life. So I thank you so much for joining us. Please come to CourtneyAnderson.com, and I look forward to the next show. Thank you.